Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Shout out to you, my default cubers. Shout out to the subsurface catterers out there. Those are all Blender references, by the way, if you're new. But anyways, we're back with a new video. I know it's been a while. I haven't posted anything in about 2 weeks. I know you guys miss me. I miss you guys too. But yeah, we're back though with this new tutorial. I've been requested to make this specific one at least 8 times in my DM. So here you guys are. You're welcome. Before we start, I want to say we're really close to hitting 500 subscribers, so if you want to help me out, click that subscribe button. You know what, actually, we hit 1,000 subscribers. I feel like, you know what, I'm gonna set a goal for now. Let's try to hit 1,000. So yeah, if you really like these videos and you really like seeing me, I guess, make sure you subscribe, get your friends to subscribe, your family, your pets. But anyways, without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, cool. So first things first, I want you guys to do is to go in the description down below. Should be the first line in the description. Click that link and then download this base mesh which I already made, which is this one right here. It looks something like this, just to save you guys some time. Also, I don't want this video to be 3 hours long, so download that, open it. The file should look something like this, and then you can see this is what I sculpted. I keep the head separate, and you go to jaw, and we go to torso-ish here, so, and the reference image on the side. So yeah, open this up and then we can get started. So once you open it, you get this right here. We got the reference image on the side and then the what I sculpted. So yeah, looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. What we're gonna do is basically re-topologize. Alright, let's get started with this topology business then. Hopefully already a new technique in that. So right now there's way too many vertices, so if I show you, you can see there's a lot going on and we don't really need all of that. So first things first, let's hide this reference image. We don't need that for now. And we can get started. So we're just gonna block it out and just redo it. So let's start with the jewel, so let's isolate it. Actually, let me turn on screencast so you can see what I'm doing on the bottom left over there. Hopefully it should make it easy to follow this tutorial. But anyways, like I said, press / to isolate on its own. Just like so. Let's go Shift A and add in the plane, and we're going to rotate that 90 degrees. And let's bring it forwards along the Y, scale that down. There we go. Let's line up a little bit. Let's go into edit mode and add a loop cut in the middle by pressing Ctrl R. And let's delete one side of it. You can choose what side, doesn't really matter. So the whole point of re-topology is to kind of just clean up the mesh basically after you finish sculpting something. I mean, this one's not too bad, it's not too messed up, but it could be a little bit cleaner. But re-topology, you can keep it low poly as well if you want. You can subdivide it easier. It's just a lot better. Hopefully that makes sense. If it didn't, I guess, I don't know, Google it. So let's add a mirror modifier real quick. Turn on clipping, make sure that's on at all times. So we want this to kind of stay on top of the surface. Let's go to snap. Make sure you're in phase. And click project individual elements as well. And you can turn on these settings at the bottom here. Let's go into side view and let's move it closer to the mesh. Let's rotate that a little bit. Something like that. And pretty much we want it to stick onto the face, so let's add a shrink wrap modifier. Click the eyedropper and select the jaw. Now we'll stick it to the face a little bit. You might not notice it because there's not a lot to go off of. So to bring it out, let's go to where it says on surface. Click that and then select outside surface. And then just increase the offset a little bit. You can play with it. You want it barely touching the surface. Something like that's alright. So we're just gonna extrude around this whole mesh basically. You can either press E to extrude or control left click or right click. And you can see when I extrude, it sticks onto the face, which is exactly what we want. So let's try to clean this up a little bit. You want to keep it evenly spaced as well as you're extruding. Let's add a loop cut. The more loop cuts you add, the better it sticks onto the mesh because it has more vertices to work off of. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, keep that in mind while you're extruding, and this is basically the whole technique of re-topology. You kind of just extrude flowing the mesh, try to keep it evenly spaced, keep it all looking nice. So yeah, extrude, again you can either press E to extrude or control left click or right click depending on how your blender set up. Try to line it up and keep it clean as you go. Let's bring this out here and select these two, and let's start extruding upwards. As you can see, I'm basically just following the base mesh. Nothing too complicated, as of now at least. Try not to keep this pretty simple. Try not to make this too complicated, but yeah. Kind of clean up a little bit as you go in. You don't have to do this, but I just kind of a perfectionist, you know what I mean? It's like doing it. There we go. So let's join this bottom side here. So let's select these two and let's extrude them along the X until they meet in the middle. Again, if you have clipping turned on, they will meet. If you don't, they'll go right through each other. So clipping just kind of stops it right at the center. Just add a loop cut there. We want to match the amount of vertices basically whenever we add a new face. That's pretty much the most tricky part about retopology, is just keeping it smooth and flowing. Let's extrude this out and add a face. And by the way, you need to make sure that you're working with quads. So you always want to have a square, 4 points. You don't want a bunch of triangles. It kind of just messes up your mesh a little bit. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Something like that. And actually, this is a good example of triangles. Let me just pull this edge in a little bit and then I'll show you what I mean. So here, you want to keep it as quad. So let's select 4 points and then press F. You don't want to have a triangle. Let me just go back real quick. Yeah, you don't want to have a triangle like this, because then you can't add a loop cut basically, as you can see. It will just mess up your whole mesh. So keeping quads. I mean, sometimes you will use triangles, but it's like rare cases, just in some areas. Obviously, it will take a little bit of practice, but just give it a go. Keep that in mind. So yeah, I'm gonna speed this part up, but it should be pretty self-explanatory. Alright, so this part might look a little bit complicated, but trust me, it's pretty simple. Basically using the same technique as before, where you're just following the flow of it and just extruding around. Kind of have a play with it till you find something that works for you. Alright, boom. You should end up with something like this, and then we're just going to delete one side of it. You can choose whatever side you want. I'm going to get rid of this left side. So to go in X-ray mode, by the way, you press Alt-Z. Alt-Z, however you say it. So we're basically going to kind of clean this up a little bit using the same technique as before. So let's select one vertex, kind of line it up a little bit. And then just go to the side view, and then let's just extrude this around. And just match it up with the other vertices, basically. It's probably going to top view and line this up better. As you can see, I just extruded about 3. So we're going to move these along the X, like so, just so they line up with the other vertices so that we can make a face, just like that. And by the way, a little hack is, if you want to make a face quickly, rather than selecting everything, pressing F, you can go into edge select mode by pressing 2, select one edge and then just press F, and then it will just automatically add a face, as you can see. So yeah, again, we're just gonna go around and just keep extruding and adding faces until we fill up all these spaces basically. So yeah, I'll probably speed this part up as well, to be honest. There we go. Make sure line up. Yeah, I'm gonna speed this part up. You should get the idea. Again, if you're stuck, just DM me on Instagram and I'll help you out. There we go. So you get something like this. Looks pretty good. Again, now at least you just follow the draw pretty much. That's all you have to do. Let's let this edge here, and let's make sure we have that turned off. And let's go SX0 just to make sure it's flat along the X. Just so when we add a mirror modifier, it's not messing up a little bit. So let's add a mirror modifier. Let's turn on clipping as well. And you see over here, it's kind of, funny enough, it's clipping. So let's fix that real quick. Let's try and move it over. You can see it's got duplicates. So that's usually the issue. So to get rid of the issue, just go into X-ray mode and then box select it and press M, center. M is just to merge basically. Because what's happening is that there's two vertices in the same location, so it kind of messes up the mirroring process, I guess. But there we go. Happy with that. You can see it's a lot cleaner than before. And obviously you can do a better job than I did. I'm not saying it's the perfect, you know. And as you can see, we can easily add the subdivision and it looks super clean. By the way, I have a shortcut for my subdivision, it's Control 1. You can make your own. So we're going to do the same exact process that we did here, but for the skull, pretty much. Alright, so let's do the same thing for the top, for the head. By the way, I made a new collection. Just press M anywhere, click whatever. Just click new and then just name it whatever you want. So yeah, let's get started with the skull. So let's isolate it again, pressing /. Actually, before we bring everything in, so Shift A, let's bring in a UV sphere. And make sure the 3D cursor is in the middle of the scene. So if you want to do that, just press Shift C and then bring it in. Let's bring it above the head. If you just want to make sure everything's aligned, basically. Give him a little afro. Anyways, let's isolate these two. Let's get it down a little bit. Bring that down to about there. Go side view. Let's bring it forwards. And let's cut it about there. So press Alt and then click there. This delete vertices. So select any of these and press L, or you can just hover over it, press L and delete all of that. So we're left with this basically. Just the top part. So scale it in along the X. Just make it fit basically. Pretty much. Let's bring that down with proportional editing. Actually, let's just go out. Let's go down here to the object data properties, and where it says display as internal wire, just kind of allows us to see a little bit better. Scale that down. We can bring this forwards, rotate it. There we go. We just want it to be just around the head. We're gonna add the shrink wrap modifier. Basically what we did earlier. As you can see, a lot of it is the exact same technique, just reused pretty much. So let's go add a shrink wrap modifier. Probably one of my favorite modifiers. Is that sad to go modifier? Anyways, you get something like this. Here we go. Nice, nice, nice. We'll like that. I'll go with that. I'll take that. So let's click this here, this little triangle. What it does is allows you to see the effect while you're in edit mode. So without it, you can see when you're in edit mode, it kind of hovers back to its original state. When you turn it on, it shows you the final result without you having to apply the modifier basically. I hope that makes sense. I'm not going to try to explain that again. So let's delete one side of it. Just select it and then deselect the middle part. And let's delete vertices. And let's do the same thing for the back. Again, press Alt before you select. That just selects like a row basically. And then select this middle part, press V to separate it. I bet you didn't know that, did you? Hey. Then press L and delete one side. And then we just want to mirror this. By the way, L, it just means linked. So it just selects anything that's linked to your object. So let's go Control A and apply all transforms just so that our mirror modifier doesn't mess up. Let's bring that in. So let's select the skull. There we go. Select the lines. Make sure clipping is turned on. Let's move it back. Make sure to hitting each other. Just like this. There we go. That's pretty cool. But yeah, we're just going to do the same exact technique as we did earlier. We can turn this on as well. And yeah, you can just start moving things around, start extruding and all that. And by the way, you can turn this back as well from wire to textured if you want to see it properly. It's really up to you. I like it on wire for now. Kind of makes it easier to see. But now we can get started. And again, just kind of keep in mind the shape of the skull. And like I was saying earlier, keep it evenly spaced. If you have 4 vertices on top, you want to have 4 at the bottom. And actually, let me show you that quick fill technique. So you want to go into edge select, select one edge, and then just press F a bunch of times. You can see it's a lot faster this way. let's extrude these down. You kind of have to like get ready for the eyes basically. It's targeting it more circular. So let's turn this back onto normal, just so we can see it a bit better. And let's come back into here. Let's measure some outside surface. Turn this up a little bit, just so you can see a bit better. And what is missing, I think, is a subdivision. There we go. And let's place that before the shrink wrap. What that does, it basically tells the shrink wrap that it has more faces than it actually does. So it looks a bit smoother, a bit more accurate. Now it will look a little bit weird when you're trying to move things around, but you kind of just get the hang of it basically. So now let's make the inside of the eye. So let's, what is my favorite part? Let's select all of these, pressing Alt, and let's extrude it. Then right click, and then let's scale it down. Turn off proportional editing, by the way. So let's scale that thing down. Probably about there. Don't worry about it messing up a little bit. We can clean that up later. Something like that looks pretty good. And we can come in here and just bring everything down manually. There we go. So let's add another loop cut in here, just to give us some more points to move around basically. And something like that. That looks pretty good actually. And by the way, feel free to pause the video and have a look at the topology and how the faces are flowing and all that. And while you got the video paused, go ahead and subscribe, you know, help me out, help you guys out. I'll make more videos. You guys subscribe, like the videos, comment and all that. And yeah, if you have like a suggestion or you want a video, like a request, leave in a comment. I mean, someone did request for me to make this one and here we are. So yeah, any suggestions, any like whatever, just leave in the comments down below. Here's a little tip, a little Aussie tip. If you get a problem like this where it's not meeting, they're not connecting in the middle properly, if you want to fix it, all you got to do is come down to the mirror, turn off the clipping, move it over to where they pass each other, turn the clipping back on and then move it back, and you'll see they'll meet in the middle. There you go. You're welcome. Just continue extruding and kind of just getting everything the right shape, right places. Again, it's not really hard, it's pretty simple. It's kind of just time consuming, making sure you have a nice edge flow and everything's looking smooth. You can see you got some triangles there, but they get sorted out. So now the back side of the teeth, I guess you could call it, can be a little bit complicated. So you just want to make sure it's running down the side of it. And again guys, just to make it clear, if you have any issues at all, just drop me a DM on Instagram or just leave in the comments down below. Okay, so you should end up with something like this. As you can see, I left out the teeth part, the molars there, and the nose empty as well. The reason why I did that is because the shrink wrap was kind of messing up, so I kind of just skipped those parts. So we're gonna apply the shrink wrap. So drop down menu, click apply, and now we're just gonna extrude these parts basically without using a shrink wrap modifier. So let's bring these up like so, and then we can start extruding the nose as well. You can edit this manually, and again you can just make sure that snap is turned on. You could use that if you want. So yeah, turn on snap, and then just keep extruding, and we're gonna leave like a little square at the bottom of the nose, obviously for the nostrils. So yeah, right now for the modifiers, you should have your subdivision and the mirror modifier, no shrink wrap. Obviously you can't see the subdivision now because I don't have it activated. There we go. Move these back, make sure they're in the middle. So after all that, it should end up with something like this or similar. You see we got the nose done. Make sure you save your work as well. But yeah, as you can see, hopefully that wasn't too hard. We can pull these in. Looks pretty good. Again, obviously you can come in here, edit a bit more, pull this down, kind of make the eyebrows a little bit more pronounced. Just play with it basically, get what you want, do what you want, something like that. So what we got to do now is just fix the teeth basically, or the gums I should say. I'm gonna make the teeth separate. So let's go to bottom view by pressing 7 and then pressing 9 to flip it onto bottom view. 7 is top view, by the way, if you don't know. So let's select all of these. Let's go. Do I want to select all of them? Let's see. Yeah. Let's just extrude them down. Like so. And then let's go SZ0. That just scales everything flat along the Z basically. So let's scale those in where we just extruded. Get something like that, and then we're just gonna fill it in by extruding basically. Select one edge, extrude it in, and then just fill it. And this is what you should get. That should be enough for the gums basically, because we're not really, these aren't the teeth by the way, this is just the gums for now at least. So yeah, looks pretty cool. Kind of mess with it a little bit, tweak it here and there, as you should. Like so. I think that looks pretty good to be honest. And there we go. That's the top part done. Let's fix the eyes a little bit. You can see it's kind of messed up. I'm gonna split this part up. If it's messed up for you, fix it as well. So now if you go back and just select the jaw and the skull alone, isolate the two, and we'll end up with something like this. So let's just turn on subdivision, see what that's looking like. Pretty clean. Shade smooth. That's press W and then select shade smooth, should have said. You can see these lines here, let's get rid of those as well. Look pretty ugly. So let's select it. Let's move along the X. Basically the same technique as before. Alright, so also let's clean this mesh up a little bit. So let's get rid of these lines here. So let's select 3 of them, press M, and then click at center. And then select the next one and press Shift R. Shift R just repeats the last action you did basically, so you don't have to pressing M and selecting center, if that makes sense. And then we'll put these ones in the middle too. But we'll use at last. So select the 2, press M and click at last. If you select A and then B and then you click at last, it will join A to B, not all the way around. If you clicked at first, it will join B to A. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, that's the skull done for now at least. All we got left to do is the ears. Alright, so before we move on to the ears, let's just add some gums to these bottom teeth. So let's just line it up. Let's select these here. And we're just going to bring those up and kind of form like a platform for the gums to sit on, basically. So let's just bring all of these up, kind of make it flat-ish, like so. Bring this out a little bit. We extrude it up a little bit. So let's select these ones here. Maybe the ones at the back as well, I'm thinking. You know what, yeah, select this. So yeah, let's select all of these here. And then upwards. So E and then Z. And then S, Z, 0, just to flatten it. Let's orbit that around. Let's move that along the X a little bit, just so it's coming out. Something like that, not too much. That looks pretty good there. Maybe bring it back forward a bit. Rotate. Again, tweak it so you're happy with it basically. Let's select this one here. And that one over there. And let's move those in. Just kind of get more of like a gum line, if that makes sense. You end up with something like this. I think that looks pretty good. Again, you can just keep tweaking until you get something you're happy with, pretty much. But yeah, don't forget this part. There we go, keeping it nice and simple. Looks pretty good. Obviously, that's without the teeth. I haven't added the teeth in yet. Gonna do that a bit later. So let's move into the ears. Alright, cool. Let's drag and drop the reference image in the description down below. Let's drop that in right there. Let's scale it down. Let me just turn the screencast. Let's go SY -1 just to flip it. Then we're just gonna align it as usual. Let's go back into edit mode with the skull and let's select these faces here. We're gonna duplicate them. So let's go Shift D, move along the X, and then press P to separate by selection. So now it's its own object. Let me just move this back a little bit. So let's go into it. And we're just going to extrude it out and just give it a general shape over ear, basically. Just follow the reference image. So if we pull these up here, let's maybe add a loop cut around there. And then start extruding from there. So let's extrude these two in. Let's scale them down like so. There you go. And of course we want to give it a bit of depth, they're only being flat, so pull some of the edges out here and there, some of them in, just to give it more of like an organic shape basically, as you can see. And use proportional editing as well to make your life a lot easier. So now we're going to fill this gap here. You want to make sure you have an even amount of... So Select it and search for grid fill. Press spacebar to search, by the way, and then click grid fill. You should get something like this. Again, this only works if you have an even amount of vertices. Alright, so that's the end of this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. Again, make sure you're subscribed. I see you guys sat there not subscribed for no reason. Just click the subscribe button. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you're stuck on anything, DM me on Instagram. Should be one of the links in the description down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in part 2.